Let's call the regular meeting of Bellflower City Council to order Monday, August 8th, 2022 at 5:37. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamada?
Here.
Councilmember Coops?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas?
Here.
Mayor Dutton?
Here. Let the record reflect that all council members are present. Item 3 are closed session items. Jeff, can you read in the closed session items?
Three on the agenda. Threat to public services facilities, pursuant to Government Code 54957A. This will be a consultation with Lakewood Station Sheriff Captain Dan Holguin. Second item is the Conference of Legal Counsel Initiation Litigation. There's one case. And the third is actually the same thing, two cases listed, but it's existing litigation in Southern California Edison versus Board of Equalization, LA County. And that's it.
Okay, does anyone have any conflicts at this time or recusals on any of the closed session items? Not seeing any. Is there no, I guess there's no public comments because there's nobody in the audience.
Mayor, I believe there's
And-
one conflict.
Oh, that's me.
Yes. For item 3B.
Touche. Let the record reflect that I will be recusing myself from 3B due to the fact I have property within 500 feet of that location. And it's time to recess to close session. I'm going to call the regular meeting to order for the Bellflower City Council Monday, August 8th at 7 p.m. We're reconvening from closed session and no reportable action. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamada?
Here.
Councilmember Coops?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas?
Here.
Mayor Dutton?
Here. Let the record reflect that all the council members are present. May I have everybody rise for the invocation led by Councilmember Coops and the Pledge of Allegiance by our Director of Public Safety, Joel Hockman.
Please all, let's bow our heads together. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to give you thanks for all the blessings that you've given to us collectively and individually. As we govern the city of Bellflower, we look for your guidance in making sure we do the right decisions on those things that are before us. We are mindful of those that take care of us every day of every hour, and that is our sheriffs and our firefighters. Be with them as they take care of us throughout the evening and throughout the day. Keep them from harm and danger. Be with us throughout the evening, and thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed on us. In his name we pray, amen.
Amen.
If you would please face the flag and join me in saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, council announcements. I'll start. Are you interested in serving the community as a Public Safety Review Committee member? The City of Bellflower's Public Safety Department is seeking to fill vacancies in the Neighborhood Watch districts of 1, 4, 5, and 6. Committee members meet quarterly to discuss goals and objectives of the city's community policing plan and discuss the city's laws, enforcement budget, and review department goals. It also serves as an advisory body to the Bellflower City Council in matters related to the city's public safety services. To learn more, call 562-925-0124, extension 2525 or 2532. Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santinas.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The deadline for alcohol servers and their managers to meet mandatory training under a new state law is rapidly approaching. The new law went into effect on July 1st, 2022, and by August 31st, 2022, every alcohol server and their managers must be trained under Assembly Bill 1221 and Assembly Bill 82. AB 1221 defines an alcohol server as anyone who is employed at an ABC, that is, Alcohol Beverage Control, on-premise licensed establishment who is responsible for checking identifications, taking customer orders, and pouring or delivering alcohol beverages. Alcohol servers and their managers must have a valid Responsible Beverage Service, that's RBS, certification from the Department of Alcohol Beverage Control, that's the ABC. Servers and their managers must pass an online ABC-administered RBS exam by August 31st to be certified. I know there's a lot of acronyms here, but for more information, please visit www.abc.ca.gov/education/RBS. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Santinez. Councilmember Dan Coops.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Southeast Area Animal Control Authority, SIACA, is having its hot adoption days from June 28th through August 31st. Pet adoptions can be facilitated by appointment or in person during browsing hours. Self-service animal browsing hours are Wednesday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, call 562-803-3301 or visit www.siaca.org. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Coops. Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, good evening, Bellflower. The Bellflower Chamber of Commerce invites businesses, service clubs, and the community to join their monthly morning mingle, which will take place Tuesday, August 30th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, please call the Bellflower Chamber of Commerce at 562-867-1744. The room fills up fast, but they are always kind enough to find space for one more. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Raymond Hamada. Councilmember Victor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Bellflower. As we've previously mentioned, the Bellflower Farmer Market has moved and added more variety to the vendor lineup. New farmers, food vendors, and crafters have joined the new location, which launched on June 6th at the Town Center Plaza. The market is open on Mondays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and any potential closures will be noted on the city's website calendar at www.bellflower.org. To apply to become a vendor, visit www.farmandcraftmarket.com/bellflower. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Okay, next we have a presentation. I'm going to introduce Christy Bedelia Berkey from Kingdom Causes. Bellflower is providing a presentation on KCB, the program and its updates. When you're ready, Christy, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's good to be up here. It's been a while. So my purpose here tonight is just to give a quick update about our community programming and also be here to answer any questions. So my name is Christy Padilla Berkey. I'm the executive director. And Kingdom Causes Bellflower was started about 22 years ago. As you know, Bellflower had a reputation for having a ton of churches. I think we had the most churches per capita at one point. I will fact check that with Mr. Coops. But the churches came together and said, what does it look like for us to set aside our differences, work with each other, partner with the city, partner with the school district, law enforcement to really tackle the big community issues here in Bellflower? And that's how we got started. Our mission is to mobilize the community and provide transformative services so that all neighbors have a place to live, work, and belong. And I think something that's very unique about KCB is as much as we do our best to offer tangible services that make a difference, we also try to involve the community in those solutions because we really feel like the community has to be part of those solutions through volunteering and other means. There's three main areas of community development that we feel are important and crucial for a city and a community to flourish. And that's that our neighbors have a place to live, a place to work, and a place to belong. I wanted to take a minute to focus. I'm going to focus on two of these areas, but I'll touch on the third. So with the place to live, our goal is to decrease homelessness and increase housing stability. The city of Bellflower was one of the early partners to pilot a rental assistance program using your housing successor agency funds. And that was about 6 or 7 years ago. And then after that, a lot of local cities followed suit. And the strategy there is, well, we know homelessness is a very hot button issue, and there's no silver bullet. There's not a single solution that really works. It takes a lot. One of the best solutions that we've found is preventing homelessness. Not only is it compassionate to do, but it also makes a lot of economic sense. It's much more cost effective to help prevent homelessness versus letting a family actually get onto the streets and try to assist them. So our homeless prevention and rapid rehousing program that is funded through the City of Bellflower Low to Moderate Income Housing Asset Fund does just that. This last year alone, we were able to help prevent homelessness for 38 households. And I want to say that was like over 70 actual individuals in those households that were able to avoid eviction and stay in their housing because of that assistance. This is the first year that we went all the way through the funding. In prior years, we would have a little bit of a balance, but we had such a big waiting list because a lot of those COVID programs are starting to ramp down and costs are going up, so families are still feeling that burn. So we spent the full amount this last year, and then we tapped into some funding from United Way and Kaiser Permanente to help with that, as well as some private donations from our local churches here in Bellflower. Some of the key trends that we saw with why are people, we always ask those questions, why are they needing these assistance? Because we want to make sure that we are not enabling, but that we're really helping people get back on their feet. What we found is a lot of our neighbors had medical debt, there was a loss of a loved one, or there was a recent divorce or separation which really hit the income of their family. In addition to that program, which is the one that I really wanted to focus on, we also do other homeless assistance works. So last year we were able to help 26 of our homeless neighbors move off the streets and into their own homes, into their own permanent housing. We also are one of the partners with the city that can refer into the New Hope shelter, and we've had a really great partnership with Mercy House there. So we were able to place 42 of our neighbors actually into that shelter last year. I want to save some time for questions, but I put some other stuff up on there about the older adults programs that we are running as well. We opened in 2013 a program called Margaret's House. It's a hospitality home for families who are transitioning out of Bellflower, and we're currently hosting 2 families there right now. We're also running something called Moving On workshops. What we found is some of our chronically homeless neighbors, we would house them, get them that assistance that's really hard to find, get them in their housing, and then a couple months later we would see them back on the streets. And that drives us crazy because we want to see them stay in their housing and be healthy. So what we've started is something called Moving On, which does this training. Once we know that a neighbor is getting close to getting off the streets, we want them, once they're actually in their homes, to be a good neighbor, to flourish, to thrive, to be healthy. So we realize we have to do a lot of training leading up into that point. So some other key trends that I really want you to know as you think about homeless services in Bellflower and in this part of the county. As of July 1, there was a massive decrease in county funding for non-sheltered homeless neighbors. So a lot of the resources that we used to have that we were leveraging the county funding for, like our street outreach, things like that, has gone away. And a lot of the priority is for neighbors who are already in shelters, trying to get them moved on so that you could free up those shelter beds. So that's one big key thing to remember when you think about homeless services here. The other is that we're seeing an alarming trend of seniors and older adults who their fixed income is staying right around $1,000 and rent keeps going up. And so a lot of the households that we helped with the Bellflower program, plus some of the Kaiser and United Way, were for those older adults that we're trying to keep in their housing. These are 2 of our neighbors that we housed just in the last couple months. They're from Bellflower. The second area for community flourishing is that people have a place to work. We really feel like that ability to work is so important, and it brings so much dignity to people. And so we try to increase those employment opportunities for neighbors who would not traditionally be able to compete in the job market. These are folks who are either currently homeless or were homeless, or maybe have a prison record, previous incarceration. So we do this with our Good Soil Industries program, which is supported by the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, through the city. It's a social enterprise landscape business that hires, supports, and trains local men and women with those histories of homelessness and incarceration. Just this last year, we were able to employ 30 men and women, and actually quite a few of them were also staying at the New Hope shelter. That was $140,000 that we paid in those wages. And just for like some scale, we bring in about around $200,000 in customer income. And so you could kind of see how the grants really help support all the other program pieces that are crucial for programs like Good Soil to succeed. It's one of my favorite programs. Here's a couple pictures of our guys out on the crew working, and then the gentleman on the far right is our employee of the month. And the last area that I wanted to focus on feels a little touchy-feely, but we realized you could help somebody get into housing, you could help somebody with a job, but really this sense of belonging is what makes it stick. And that's important for the sustainability of those other community development areas, but it's also really important when a community is like feeling isolation from so many years of the pandemic. And so what we want to do is increase the connection of the community, the volunteers, our local churches, to the expressed hopes and needs of Greater Bellflower. What that looks like this last year is responding to the mental health crisis in our youth. Bellflower Unified School District did a survey the last couple years where they try to rank what are the most pressing needs, and mental health is up really high. And we have a lot of amazing partners and service providers that are providing those direct services. What KCB is doing is partnering with those existing partners, but also trying to provide trainings to parents. Who are the people that are feeling those crises? It's the parents, youth leaders that are not trained in mental health, coaches. So we've been working on that because we feel like that's a very big piece of helping a community have that sense of belonging. We also do other trainings like a hygiene kit packing party, which we're creating a tangible thing to give away, but we're using it as an opportunity to really educate the community on homelessness, how they can help. We also have a lived experience advisory group, and we include a lot of our formerly homeless neighbors and people who once received services, because we want to make sure that our programs are really helping and they make sense. And we know that that changes from year to year, so we take their input and use that to improve our services each year. And the last thing is community asset mapping, listening to the community to hear what are those upcoming hopes and needs. Is it something that KCB can do, or is it something that another awesome nonprofit in the community should be connected to, and what's our role doing that? So this last year we had, actually just in the last 6 months, over 1,800 hours volunteered. And I thought it was really cool when I was looking at the list this week. I think our second top volunteer was actually a woman who was homeless in Bellflower for like a decade. She went through Little House and got some substance abuse treatment there years ago, and then became a volunteer through local churches and through KCB, and she continues to do some really impressive work. But I think that's a great thing that captures KCB of like how do we take the people that once were on the receiving end and give them that opportunity to be part of the solution and give back. So I will stop there, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great report, Chrissy. Any questions?
Yeah, Mayor.
Go right ahead. You can go
okay,
first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kirsty, for your report. And just to let you know, I think I requested this report a couple of meetings ago because we had a report, and the person making the report was alluding to homelessness, what's been doing, and then KCB said, well, I think we need to invite you guys to make a report to us because we need to share this information with our residents. So thank you for that. Can you go back to the a place to live? I really want to focus on that. There you go. Yes, that one. Okay. So this is very good information in terms of what your organization has done in our community. These are great numbers. If you look at this, 26 homeless neighbors moved off the streets. 46 homeless neighbors were referred to the shelter, and then 77 older adults at risk of homelessness. receive financial assistance. So these are good. And this is in line with what you're saying, trying to prevent homelessness from happening. And I like that idea because I think that should be the mantra. If we can prevent it, why not? Okay. So we also have our captain here, our sheriff's captain. So what I want to do is, if you can explain to us, how is KCB's relationship with Mercy House, with the shelter, and the sheriff department in terms of addressing the homelessness issue?
You know, I will do my best to answer that. I am not part of the meetings, but our staff meets on a monthly basis with some of the city staff, and I believe law enforcement is there along with Mercy House to coordinate. But essentially, with the shelter, nobody's allowed to just walk up there. There's a couple referring agencies. It's us, the sheriffs, CityNet, and the city. And so there's coordination with those organizations and with the residents as well. I would say as of July, that outreach is going to look a lot different because KCB does not have any street outreach workers right now because our funding for that went away. So I can't answer exactly what that looks like currently. I know prior we would do joint outreach. We once in a while would do some of the sweeps with sheriffs or with public works or whatever. But I'm not sure what that's going to look like. We're assuming that some of that funding will come back in a couple of months, and we're kind of holding our breath to see.
So who was funding the outreach?
That was
it PATH?
funding through LASA and PATH. Yes.
Oh, PATH. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, and it was the shifts. You know, there's a lot of changes with Measure H
Okay.
that we're seeing right now, and we think some bigger changes will be coming in this next grant year. So it's a big transition year. And we're trying to figure out how do we maintain those critical resources. But there's a lot of question marks right now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And my second question to you is not related to your report. Pre-COVID, you used to do some kind of fundraising
Yeah.
at different churches. You provide the kind of dessert and things like that.
Yeah, we used to do an
Yeah, I
annual
know.
dinner.
That
Do you
was-
miss it? Should we do it again?
I miss it.
Okay.
It was fun.
All right.
Can you bring it back?
Yeah, we'll
Of
bring it
course.
back.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, it's at Sunny. You're sponsoring it, right? So,
I make dessert, so you can make
Great.
dessert, actually. All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Mayor.
Questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hamada, go
Yes,
ahead.
thank you. First off, I just want to mention that I'm on the board of directors of Kingdom Causes. And I want to publicly recognize Chrissy as an amazing executive director. And again, with the team she has, there's a ton of work, and I know there's some great numbers that are coming through. Chrissy, with this screen here, Margaret's house, and we have some more capacity than just two family.
Yeah, we have a third suite.
Yeah,
We
okay.
haven't filled it just because of the recent spike in
Sure,
COVID.
sure.
But yes,
With time,
yeah.
we'll get more people.
and that's something that the public should know.
Yeah.
We are open. It's privately funded, and so our goal is to we have 3 family suites. And so if you know a family that is homeless currently, that especially if they're connected to the local school district, we really prioritize our local families first. Please let us know because we could do some screening with them to see if they would be a good fit.
And also KCB has a holding on Oak.
Yes.
On Oak.
We own one
Maybe you
affordable-
want to mention that.
Yeah, we also own one affordable housing unit on Oak Street. We built that during the recession with city home funds back. I think we got them in 2008, and it was finished in 2011, 10 or 11. So we have one unit of affordable housing there.
So it looks like we're doing a dinner.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chrissy. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sanchez, go ahead.
thank you, sir. Hey, Chrissy, first off, just want to, obviously you know how much I appreciate the work that KCB does and what you and your team do. I think you guys are a very important role, not just in Bellflower, but in the immediate surrounding community. Everyone speaks very highly of the work that KCB does, especially on the preventative side. I think that is definitely a key moving forward, and I think that other agencies that do the line of work you do should be definitely looking into that more. Just one real question, actually a follow-up after Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santinez. Is there anything that we can do to support you in your efforts to continue to receive that additional funding? Because I think that outreach effort is going to be important, and we depend on KCB for that as one of the referring agencies to the shelter.
Yeah, that's a great question. We want to get they said they're piloting for the next 6 months this idea of funneling most of the resources to our sheltered homeless neighbors, and then they will revisit. But this is, just to be clear, this is for something for all of SPA 7. It isn't Bellflower specific, but it hurts this area the most because we don't have a lot of LAHSA-funded shelters in this area. So, so once we know a little bit more, I'll loop in the city on ways to advocate. We do still have the LAHSA, I believe there's a host team that works with the sheriff's department, as well as a multidisciplinary team that's run with PATH. But the problem is they're in all 26 cities, so it means that these cities get less boots on the ground actually out in the street. So, yeah.
And then just one follow-up on that. Correct me if I'm mistaken here. CityNet doesn't receive any of that funding.
I don't
Correct,
believe so.
right?
I believe CityNet is just funded by the city, and that's
Okay.
Bellflower only.
Uh,
So,
A-
yeah.
and so this
they're,
shift-
They're going to be a big link for you guys currently.
So the shift in funding began in July.
Yes, July 1st.
Okay, so there's something we need to definitely look
Yeah.
into.
And we were able to negotiate so that we could have one staff work solely with helping New Hope. So that was something we were able to negotiate, even though the New Hope shelter is not funded by LAHSA.
Okay.
So that's our best attempt to keep things patched together while everything changes behind the scenes. We do have funding from Gateway City's COG, although it hasn't been historically used for homeless outreach. So we're also looking at what that might be in the next grant year as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Chrissy. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Coops?
Yep. Whenever I drive by on Flower Street, the Lord's Church, I always think of you
Oh, yeah.
because you attended there as a kid
Yep.
and later.
My
and-
parents met and married there.
Right, so, and I'm trying to explain to everyone what roots you have in this community.
Yeah.
It's not just a job that you received in the last 10 years. I mean, this goes back to when you were a child.
Yeah.
You knew what Bellflower was and is and what it should be.
Yep.
So my question is, you mentioned how many people or guests that are in our homeless shelter are employed by you?
Yes.
How many are there?
So currently, because the shelter it
It goes up and
depends
down,
night
yeah.
to night.
Right.
I think we might have one who's currently at the shelter right now. But 2 months ago, we had about 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would think, just looking at it on the surface, I assume you need to pay them minimum wage, which is like $15 an
Yeah,
hour?
we actually have a higher minimum wage.
Right, so-
Yeah.
So if the city's providing them a place to live and eat and sleep for free, and you're providing them employment, that's a good avenue to get them back on their feet.
Yes.
I would think, unless they've got some baggage of debt that
Sure.
they carry with them.
Yeah.
But just to look at the numbers there of trying to get yourself going and
Yeah.
having housing, having food, having clothing, and then work most of the time, that would show a real advantage on getting back on your feet.
You're correct.
And
Yeah.
I mean, just measuring that. How many, do you have, I always have, and I think everyone has, a heart for our veterans, knowing that if they're on the street, they went off to war to defend us. They come back in a different way, physically and mentally. Is that a big percentage of what you try to work with, or is that a very reluctant community?
It really depends. There are a lot of services. Well, it depends. Homeless services change from grant year to grant year, so it's really hard to predict. So there historically has been a lot of resources. What we found with some of our most chronic neighbors who were veterans, it takes years to build trust because they feel burned by the government, and so it takes sometimes years to rebuild that trust. But I believe one of the gentlemen that I showed the picture of is a veteran.
Okay. I know I meet the gentlemen that, and sometimes ladies too, that you have included in the program that are veterans, that you've got housing at different places, and I'll see them in the bank and
Yeah.
thank them for their service, and they kind of pick up a little, well, you know me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to be able to recognize
Oh, yeah.
their past life and how they're rebuilding it. Margaret's house has 2 units on it, one in the back, which I think is the
Yes.
one where you have 3 suites.
Yes.
What happens in the front unit?
So the front unit, we actually have staff that live there. They're part-time staff, just to keep an eye on what's going on in the back. So there's 2 staff members, and they work about 5 to 10 hours a week, kind of working with the families and also being there with an emergency phone line in case something happens in the back.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Yeah.
all my questions. Thank you,
Oh.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Coops. We all know that Kingdom Causes does wonderful things within our borders of our city, and you really do it on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
As you lose a little money and you get there goes the services. You do exceptional jobs with what you have to work with, and it is appreciated. I'll make a commercial for you though, because you used to have that dinner, and it was in April, as always, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's August now, and
Yeah.
I noticed I got a few of the donation envelopes, and Kingdom Causes for out there takes donations 365 days a year. Is that correct?
We do. Yes.
Yeah. Every little bit helps as everybody's here in TV land and in the audience, all the wonderful things that they do, and they fix lives. They fix broken people, and it's wonderful what you do, and it's sad to see that happens to people, but there's a way back if they want to come back. And with that, thank you for your report. It's always refreshing to see you, and you being the director of Kingdom Causes, that we know what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stewart, public comments.
Yeah, this is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, and state your name for the record. If you wish to address the city council on an agenda item, you may do so by approaching the podium as we review that particular item. You'll be given 3 minutes to address the city council.
Okay, is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak on anything that is not on the agenda? Now's the time. Just come on up to the podium. And sign in. And state your name when you're ready.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, City
Hi.
Council members. I'm Cheryl Williams, and I just want to thank you for the Street Fest this year. My fiance and I were able to attend the last couple, and he kept commenting on just the outstanding quality of entertainment that we had, and I was dancing, of course, but I just want to thank you for it. It was fun watching the kids. We'd walk over and watch the kids on the playground and, on the different equipment, and we just had a ball. And like I say, the bands were just outstanding. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the nice words. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to come forward? All right, Mr. Stewart, item 11A.
Yeah, this is a long one. This is consideration possible action to conduct a public hearing to consider an application from 16411 Bellflower LLC to modify the transit-oriented mixed-use development project located at 16411 Bellflower Boulevard as proposed by 16411 Bellflower LLC. Adopt resolution number 22-43 and waive further reading. Introduce ordinance number 1418. Second item under this item is resolution number 22-43, a resolution approving TUD PR 522135051 to allow modification and reconfiguration of a previously approved commercial building or retail restaurant and entertainment uses within the downtown TOD specific plan, and approving an addendum of the mitigated negative declaration to MND 20-01 for property located at 16411 Bellflower Boulevard. Last under this is ordinance number 1418. It's an ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Development Agreement, file number 837.1, in a form approved by the city attorney by and between the city of Bellflower and 16411 Bellflower LLC, to modify and reconfigure the mixed-use development project within the downtown Bellflower TOD specific plan on property located at 16411 Bellflower Boulevard. And I believe we have Mr. Clark here to make the staff report with support, I believe, from Ms. Corpus.
Okay, before you go on, I need to recuse myself from 11A. I have property within 500 feet of this location, so I am going to step out and turn the meeting on over to Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santinez.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Let the record reflect that the mayor is recused on this item. All right, Ms. Corpus, the floor is yours.
Good
Oh,
evening.
Mr. Clark, Mr. Clark, all
Good
right.
evening, Pro Tem Mayor, and council members. The subject site is located on the south west corner of Bellflower Boulevard and Oak Street on parcel A. A little background: in June and July of 2020, City Council approved the TOD mixed-use project, which included 14,450 square feet of commercial space, including a movie theater on parcel A, and a 5-story, 91-unit residential unit with 650 square feet of commercial space on parcel B, and approved a development agreement and parking license agreement for the project. On August 12, 2020, the city and owner executed the DA. The commercial building on parcel A has since been demolished, and the lot is currently vacant. Construction for the 91-unit mixed-use building commenced and is currently underway. Tonight's request includes an amendment to the TOD development, which is on parcel A only. It's a new 14,258 square foot partial 2-story building. There's also an amendment to the DA. Due to issues with the movie theater industry, and this is also on parcel A, the applicant is requesting to reconfigure the theater component to provide for a broader range of commercial tenants, as well as revise the parking agreements. And lastly, an addendum is requested to mitigate, an addendum to the mitigated negative declaration is also proposed, which is a CEQA compliance requirement. The project site is approximately 20,736 square feet in size. The proposed uses for the building includes restaurant uses, retail uses, office uses, and an entertainment anchor. The first floor is approximately 9,700 square feet. It allows for multiple tenants. The second floor is approximately 3,000 square feet plus, and includes a second floor outdoor patio. The ground floor includes a public plaza with dining and seating, as well as covered seating areas. The proposed elevations include modern style architecture. It includes a metal tower feature in the front with a staircase leading to the second floor. The building materials include cement plaster, fiber cement siding, aluminum storefront, bronze black material, color I should say, and then the color of gray. In comparison, this is the previously approved commercial building design that council approved in 2020. And then back to the modified commercial building design being requested today. Amendments to the DA in summary include the following. 1, replace the theater component with a general retail use. 2, require the owner to execute a lease for an entertainment anchor of at least 4,000 square feet within 1 year after the city issues a TCO. Entertainment anchor means one of the following: a theater, live music venue, and bowling, or other retail that provides a customer with an entertainment experience. For the record, the brewery and art gallery are stricken from the DA with the agreement of the applicant. Number 3, if the owner fails to secure an entertainment anchor by the deadline, then liquidated damages will be paid to the city every year for a maximum of 15 years, not to exceed $500,000. And 4, to revise the parking agreements that allow the parking for the commercial building to be transferred to designated off-site parking locations. This is a summary of the amendments to the DA. An addendum to the mitigated negative declaration number 2001 was prepared. The addendum concludes no significant impacts would occur as a result of the proposed modifications. Therefore, no additional mitigation measures are required for the proposed project. Staff recommends that council open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence. After considering the evidence, adopt resolution number 22-43 and read by title only, waive further reading and introduce ordinance number 1418. Or 3, alternatively discuss and take other actions related to this item. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. The applicant and the architect are also present to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for your report. Before I start my question, I just want to kind of state a couple of things. One is the City Council formed a subcommittee composed of Councilmember Coops and myself to kind of monitor this big project. It's a big project for us. And I will say that we received a few proposals back then. I think it's about 4 or 5 proposals. And as far as I'm concerned, reading those proposals back then, these proposals really jump out right away when I read them. And what really sold me in terms of accepting this proposal is the theater. It's something that's unique to the city, something new, something different, and especially when I mentioned about it will be a specialty theater, not the regular. I'm not trying to throw Edwards or Kikori under the bus, but something different. And so it kind of jumped out right away. And I'm glad that Councilmember Coops he and I were kind of the same page on this one. And so fast forward, I think we took the proposal from Serrano, which is now 16411 Bellflower LLC. Okay. So we were very excited back then, very excited. And then, of course, COVID hit, and everything just kind of turned upside down. And we get that. We get that. So 6 months ago, we had a meeting with the developer and staff, and they kind of broached the idea of changing the use of this building. What if, basically the question is, what if the theater is not a feasible project for this building? So we gave them some kind of ideas in terms of what we are looking for and those things. So 6 months have come and gone, and this proposal now is before us. So I would just say to our fellow council members that we have not seen this proposal until we get the packet. So I just want to let you know. So that's number one. Number two is I want to ask our city attorney in terms of timing for the development of the residential units and the commercial, because I think there's one thing that we made sure of is that the construction and development of these projects go hand in hand. So if you can elaborate on that as far as the timing is concerned between residential and commercial.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. So this was something certainly that the City Council was very interested in and gave a lot of testimony and direction to the applicant on. The actual language of the DA notes that the residential and the commercial portions are separately certificated from the standpoint of issuing certificates of occupancy. But the applicant understood all along that the expectation from the council was going to be that the retail components would be finished generally within the same scale as the residential portions. And one of the ways that you ensured that is with the parking licenses. And just to refresh your memory, part of the parking requirements for this project are being fulfilled with licenses that the city is issuing as part of this project for the public parking. And so if that expectation from the city council is not met, it can hang up the parking requirements, which would mean that we could not issue final certificates of occupancy for either the residential or the commercial. But the applicant has always understood that this was the expectation of the city council.
Okay, so thank you. So I just want to kind of preface this conversation because there is a expectation from the council to make sure that the development of the commercial and residential go hand in hand. Because one of our concerns back then is we don't want the residential to be finished and then 5 years later, commercial is still not being worked on. So I think, thank you, City Attorney, for making sure that that became part of the original development agreement. Mr. Clark, in the original DA, development agreement, the total footprint for the commercial portion was about 14,000 square feet?
15 plus, including the commercial that's on parcel B.
Okay,
So,
which
'cause
is
there's
about
a-
650
Correct.
square feet, but just for the commercial portion alone, there's
So
about
about 14,450,
14,000.
right.
Okay. And then the movie theater is, how many square feet is that? In the
Believe
original
about
development
93
agreement?
About 9,300 plus square feet.
9,300
Right.
square feet, okay. So in their proposal, can you go back to the proposal now? I think it's the other one. I think it's after this, two slides after this.
You're looking for a floor plan,
There you
elevation?
go. Where he has the 4,000 square feet. The recommendation. Oh, go back. There you go. Okay, number 2. So this is a big change from the original agreement we have. The first agreement, the original agreement, is a theater and theater retail consisting of more than 9,000 square feet. So they're coming back to us now with a kind of a reduced footprint. Now it's going to be entertainment anchor of at least 4,000 square feet. Okay. So this to me it's a big change.
Right.
Big change. So
And just so the council is aware, I believe it's a minimum, so I believe that number can always increase. So this is just a minimum.
right. Okay, but they can go down to 4,000 if
At
we go along
minimum,
with
right,
this.
correct.
They
at-
can go down to 4,000. So
at minimum.
so it's been reduced by more than 50%, from 9,350 to 4,000.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the big change. And so the other change is if they fail to do that, to do an entertainment anchor, they will pay the city liquidated damages of up to $500,000. Okay. So the entertainment anchor, I'm glad that you took out the brewery and art gallery. So it can be a theater, it can be a live music venue, and bowling. All right, that's my question for now. So I'm just focusing on the reduction from the 90 to 50 to, because back then my vision was this will be a draw, not only within the city. We want to see this as a draw regionally because of something special that the theater will bring into the city. Okay. All right, thank you. Any question of Mr. Clark? Councilmember Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Actually, I do have a question, and it's a question for our finance director, Mr. Tay. Is Tay around, or?
Not in the room, but he's listening upstairs.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, maybe other staff can answer this question. My understanding is from item number 3. First off, I'm not going to touch items number 2 because I think Mayor Pro Tem Santinez has hit them pretty head on in the concerns that I'm hearing as well. But on item number 3, we're breaking down 500,000 over 15 years, possibly. Obviously, the ideal thing would be that it would get occupied right away, and that we would have something vibrant and something that's entertainment driven, an entertainment anchor. See Mr. Reeves in the house now, so that's good. The way I am understanding the breakdown on page 93, which is page 3 of the development agreement, is that it would be paid out in 15 years, the first year starting off at $19,000 and then it goes up in increments from 19, 21, 23, 26, and so forth. To me, that's a bit of an extended period of time. That's too long, in my opinion. I think that, especially for the fact that it's a reduced square footage. So that's another concern of mine that I wanted to bring up to my colleagues here tonight is if we were to do something like this, the amount that it draws, for liquidated damages. Mr. Reed, the question for you, Mr. Terry, is if it were to go into year one at 19,000, approximately what is that comparison by tax revenues? What does that look like across our cities? So compared to In-N-Out, Golden Corral, STG Auto Group, where would it land approximately? Would it be in our top 10 sales producing businesses, or would it be from a commercial standpoint? And if you need more time, you can pull it up.
Roughly, just as a case of example, In-N-Out grosses roughly $3.5 million a year, which would be $35,000 a year in property tax or sales tax to the city. So at 19,000, it would be half an In-N-Out, roughly.
Half
as
an
far as
out.
scale.
And In-N-Out, where is In-N-Out as one of our top 10? Is it top 10?
Yeah, I
Top
don't-
5?
We can't disclose that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm already too far into it, but that's just roughly where it's at.
Okay. No, I guess. So without disclosing individual items, would
No, it
this
won't make the top
amount-
10 at 19,000.
Won't make the top 10s. Okay, very good. That's enough. That's all I need. That's all I need. Thank you, Mr. Terry. Sorry about that. I cut you off guard. I apologize. That's mine. That's my fault. So that's another concern of mine, right? This was supposed to be a staple in our downtown. I wasn't on the approving body. I was on the planning commission at the time, and it was approved on the council level. So I just wanted to point that out and bring that to the.
I have one note on that. If a movie theater were to come in and occupy 9,000 square feet, it would generate almost no sales tax revenue. Movie theaters do not generate sales tax revenue. You get a small portion off the snack bar concession if there is one, but as far as the actual sales tax coming out the sale of movie tickets, it wouldn't exist. So, in fact, in all likelihood, any other use that actually charged sales tax on the consumption of, food or alcohol or something like that would generate more sales tax than does a movie theater. So that was not an economic decision, nor is that an economic factor in that.
No, I absolutely understand that, Mr. City Manager. It was more of what it accomplishes, right? There's an item that we can't price, right? The fact. So I just want to throw that out there. That's all I just want to share.
Okay.
And that's it for now. The rest would be kind of for the applicant. Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Mayor
thank
Pro
you,
Tem.
Councilmember Sanchez. Councilmember Hamada?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Couple things. First project, proposed amendment. How much staff, how much square footage? It looked like in the original, there was not a whole lot of outdoor activity, other than, I think, up front, but that was to be somewhat enclosed, like an arcade type of thing, a walkthrough. Now, this one appears to be quite a sizable outdoor area, maybe an upstairs patio and the ground level. Now with the residential, you can see how it's set up, and that's potentially has some future impacts between those two uses. Even though there's some distance separation, there's still nighttime noise. So just rough numbers, if you want. Again, the first project, how much was really outdoor type of activity versus this one?
I would say the first project was smaller. I don't know the exact number, but this one is about 3,000 plus square feet. It's a lot larger.
More than
the original.
more than.
Correct.
So there was some outdoor. Again, that perspective didn't, really, you couldn't, other than if I could find my old floor plans. So on the original project, there was an outdoor, like patio deck on top of one of the.
No, there was no.
No, there
there was
wasn't.
no deck. It was
Yeah.
1 story in height. It
Yeah.
had the covered colonnade
Yeah.
at the same first floor level. It was covered, but there was no deck on the original.
Yeah, all right, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hamada, and if I can elaborate.
Sure,
So I do
thank you.
have the original plans. The original public open space was a total of 2,080 square feet. That included a 680 square foot plaza and a 1,400 square foot colonnade.
The arcade, yeah, up front, yeah.
So about 2,080. So
Okay.
compared to now, the public open space in the common areas is 3,483 square feet. So it did increase about 1,400 square feet.
And then the patio upstairs, too, is part of that number?
The patio is not. That's just of the,
Of the ground
yes.
level, all
The-
right.
The patio is an additional 1378.
13 seconds, so, okay, it's quite a change. My other question points to the definition of the entertainment anchor. Was that a staff-generated definition, or was that in combination with discussion with the applicant on what types of uses? I'm glad to see that brewery and art gallery were already cut off, but when I saw bowling, it didn't really click with me, so.
Member Hamada, it was in conjunction with the applicant. We discussed potential entertainment uses that could be there. And for the purposes of defining an entertainment anchor, these are just examples.
Yeah, of course,
There
I
could
know
be a
it's wrong,
variety
but-
more, and it's captured in the catch-all phrase of,
Yeah.
or other
Yeah,
retail tenant.
yeah, just
And-
right off the bat, bowling didn't,
If I could just
Yeah.
tag team, we suggested axe throwing.
oh, okay, well, that was the last time, yeah.
And as indicated,
I was waiting for that one.
yeah. Any use that goes in there that's an alternative use, an alternative entertainment use would have to be approved by the city council.
Yeah,
These are
well,
just merely
Yeah,
examples.
yeah, of course,
things
it's
you could go in, yeah.
part of the DA, yeah. All right, for now, that's,
All right, thank
okay.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamada. Councilmember Coops.
Yes, could you put back up the original picture of the project we thought we might have if the movie industry hadn't gone in the tank? That's what Sonny and I were so excited about. Am I speaking out of turn?
No.
No.
We were jumping for joy.
No, because, that's exciting stuff. And obviously, the pandemic changed that, and we accept that. Now put up what is being proposed now in conjunction. That looks like a library compared to what we had before. And that's my concern. And I want to reiterate what was said by Council Member, or Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santinez. I don't want the rest of my council colleagues to think that we wrote this and endorsed what is written in this development agreement amendment. We have not got our fingerprints on this. We did not find out about this until Thursday afternoon when we got this packet. And so I don't want the public to think that we endorse this. Ordinarily, it works. You have a subcommittee, we look at it, we evaluate it, we give our recommendations, we bring it back to the full council, we discuss it, but you put a lot of weight into what work we have done prior to it coming here. I don't want you to do that here. Feel free to pick it apart or put it aside any way you want. Now, my question to you, Jason, is what is written here been suggested and agreed upon by the applicant? Is this who we're working with on his suggestions? And if we were to approve it tonight, this would be in his agreement, it would be in his approval?
Correct.
Okay. So I wanted to establish that.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at how hard we have worked, the jewel of the city, in my opinion, is our new the main event center. And then we complemented that with a beautiful parking structure that matches it. This doesn't match anything that we're trying to put within that 100 yards of the area where we're the nexus of our boulevard. At the very least, it should be depicted in a color not unlike we have on those two structures. And that's just me speaking as we look at the boulevard. Because I know that we have already are working with the property owners to the north of that project, and we're gonna supply them a new fascias to make their buildings look as crisp and new as what these are. So that entire block will not only look what we decide, it'll match what's in the parking structure, with the light color and the orange accents as we have on the main event center. So keep in mind that could be a potential discussion. When we look at the concern I have is how we have changed the square footage. And you've answered the questions on that as to what it was and what it's proposed to be. Part of the reason why brewery was up there, because I often suggested if we couldn't get a theater, or theaters plural, I would like to see a high-quality restaurant there, not unlike a Rock and Brew or a Cheesecake Factory. I mean, a really cool destination point restaurant that has 300 parking spaces within 50 feet of the front door. Why not? And so that's probably why the brewery thing came in there. I wouldn't have a problem. And that to me is, that would be as good as entertainment you could hope for, is if you had a really bona fide national chain come to Bellflower and say, hey, this is pretty cool. But as we discuss this evening, I want all of us that are here on the dais and anybody that has questions to give us some input as to what, because this is such an important part of our community. I mean, it's something that we kind of promised our constituents, and we were excited about it, and we still are. But I need to try to get it back on track as best we can without having the developer be offended. But I just wanted to make that known as to what's gone on behind the scenes on this and what hasn't gone on behind the scenes. So that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Coops. Any other question before we open the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, would you
Councilmember Sanchez.
like me to talk about my opinions of the facade at this point, or do you want to wait till after the applicant?
Why don't we ask for the applicant and the public, and we can hold off on that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Coops, seconded by Councilmember Sanchez to open the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. So maybe we can hear first from the applicant. I know that Jason can hardly wait to make your testimony. All right. You can just sign in, Jason, for the record.
Sure. Okay. Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Jason Tollison with Serrano Development Group. I'm the representative of 16411 Bellflower. And you know, I'm here to make this right in everybody's eyes, and we're really trying to put our best foot forward here. So I apologize for any confusion about the deal that's being presented to you and the timeliness of your opportunity to review it. But you know, if what we accomplish here tonight is just answering questions and we do this some other time, that's, you know, we understand. So just to give you some context, the residential portion of the project is under construction and has been for some time. And I think, as I've mentioned to almost all of you or all of you, that you know, we're getting concerned about the start of the retail portion. We would like to finish both projects concurrently. I would agree that that's been the understanding from the start, in the spirit of our agreement, more importantly. And so we would like to get started as soon as possible. At the same time, this building's going to be here for a long time, and it needs to be put together in a way that everybody's happy with and proud of. So, you know, what precipitated all of this, as we all know, is the loss of our main anchor tenant, Lumley Theater. And nobody is more disappointed about that than I am. But we're, you know, stuck with this new reality we're living in, and we're trying our best to come up with a new structure that's accommodative of the market as it stands today. So I spoke with Greg Lumley this morning. His position on this project and any other like it is that he is not in a position to enter into any new projects. They're fighting for their lives and their business, and they're just trying to stay afloat financially. And just about every other art house theater in the country is in the same boat for macroeconomic reasons that I won't belabor. So that's kind of why we're here. And you know, when we originally broached the subject of trying to come to a solution that would allow us to proceed, when it became clear that we couldn't wait any longer for there to be a positive shift in the market that would allow for the original plan to work, we made the decision to come to you all with a proposal that we felt could accommodate a theater or another entertainment anchor, but also that it would allow us to continue moving the project along. And so when we did that, the feedback that we got on, also, just to start with the design, is that it was very important to maintain the corner plaza. So we actually increased that area substantially. I think the 3,400 square foot number does not include outdoor covered trellises or the upstairs patio. So it's actually more like 6,700 when you count all that space. That's a function of market trends due to COVID, the need for additional outdoor seating, and I think just really the enhancement to the corner of having a much larger outdoor plaza. We felt that was important, and that was a clear direction that we got on, any change needed to include that. A tower element, the original design included a tower element, something that was dramatic. And what's missing from the rendering here is that we still have a follow-on public art submittal that needs to come before you. It's not part of this application, but our plan was to do something pretty interesting and dramatic within that tower element that you could see from a long ways away. It would be a signature art piece that would be uniquely Bellflower. So that is not part of that, but of this application, but that is in the plan. Same square footage was also another key piece of feedback we got. So the overall rentable square footage on both projects is in the mid 14,000 square feet. Maybe not match exactly, maybe off by a couple hundred square feet. We could adjust it if it was important that it matched exactly, but is very, very close. He wanted a high quality design. I understand that's subjective. We've had a few meetings with the subcommittee, and I wasn't aware that there was so much resistance to this. We were happy to revisit the way that the facade looks, if that's the consensus here tonight, and look at different options. I'm just generally anxious to get started, but that's an important piece of this, and we don't want to miss out on the opportunity to give you something that you want. And then lastly, I think most importantly, is that this design can accommodate a theater if the market forces allow for that to happen in the future. And so it's probably a good segue into the development agreement, but from a technical perspective, the entire ground floor could be a theater, and the clear height is designed to accommodate that. Small house auditoriums have a clear height that would match the second story portion, and large house auditoriums would fit within the single story portion. We would accomplish that by the stadium seating going down into the ground versus raising the roof. But we could accommodate the original size theater if need be. And so I think that's a good setup to talk about the terms of the development agreement. Whatever we do there, except for a Lemley theater that's sized exactly per the original approvals, has to come back before you. So the types of uses are just examples. We could take all of them out and just say an entertainment anchor as approved by City Council. The square footage of that entertainment anchor is just a minimum, so we could take that out. That's not an important component. We just put it in there to try to add clarity to what the agreement was, but that is not, the whole point is that there's a financial payment that is made over time if we're unable to deliver something to your satisfaction that makes you feel okay about how this went in light of everything that's happened in the world. So that's the idea. The technical approach and the legal language, I think, is, we're flexible on that. We worked with staff and the city attorney to come up with something that we thought was easy to understand, but we could change that if it makes it sound like you're approving a bowling alley or an art gallery or any other use that you don't like. That's not the idea. The idea was just to throw out some examples. So that'd be my suggestion on that concern. So I guess maybe I'll stop there. There's some other questions and comments. I guess the other one last point I'll make is on the comment about sales tax from Councilmember Sanchez. This is the financial part of this is not meant to take the place of sales tax. It's in addition to any sales tax that the property would otherwise generate. So think of it as additional consideration to the city for things changing. That is a gesture from us, even though we're not the ones that created the situation, that we're trying to make this right and give you a project that you like how it looks, and that, all things considered, worked out to be fair enough for everybody. So I guess with that I'll stop and hopefully address some of the comments and questions, but here to answer any that you have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tollison. Let me just point out that when we met as a committee back then, we did not even think about the sales tax at all. What we wanted back then was a movie theater. That's what you sold us, basically. And I think Councilmember Coops and I will agree to that. I mean, you just basically jazzed us back then. So sales tax wasn't an issue back then. Can you elaborate on the 4,000, how you can make that happen? Because if it's a minimum 4,000, and then the theater used to be almost 10,000 square feet.
I think the idea was that if we came back with a movie theater that was scaled down, because that's what the market supports in this environment, that would be an acceptable version of the project that you originally approved. I think it's too complicated to set minimum square footage into call-out uses, given the discussion we're having here tonight. I think there should be no minimum. Either you like it or you don't like it, and if you say you don't like it, there's financial consideration that goes.
Okay. And are you thinking of fewer number of screens?
Yeah, that's possible. That's been. We've been talking to other theater operators, and some of them don't want as much space. Some of them want more space. So we're just trying to say it's going to be at least this big, but I think it's creating too much confusion. So I think we should take out the minimum square footage to alleviate any confusion.
Okay.
Well, let me interject. I think that part, I agreed with everything Jason said just there, but I need to interject as far as there should be a minimum floor on the square footage that's developable to use acceptable to the council, because my fear is you move a couple of years down the line, they start leasing out, demising the building. They lease out space. Next thing you know, there's 3,000 square foot left, and we can't get to anything that the council's ever going to improve. So I think that there is some rationale for leaving a minimum square footage in there. That would be something the council could use just to keep, these guys, they've got a lot of investment. The developer has a lot of investment in building the building. He's going to want to lease that space out. Let's presume the market gets red hot and they can start leasing out spaces in 2,000 square foot increments. I sure as heck hate to lose the opportunity to get a good anchor that the council could approve, because there's too many carve-outs for 2,000 square foot spaces. So I think there is some rationale for keeping the minimum square footage.
Okay, all right. Any question of Mr. Tollison? Let me start with Councilmember Sanchez. I know you've been anxiously waiting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I do want to first off start off by saying that my questions regarding the sales tax are you'll understand them a little bit later. It's not about that it would be a sales tax generating, and I know it doesn't come off that way, but we'll get to that point in a minute. The first off I want to do is start off with the positives here of this specific proposed project that you're bringing to us, the new one. In regards to the second story, this concept right here on the left side, I think it's great. Let me be specific. It's great in the concept size, but going back to Councilmember Coops' concept, the overall project itself does not wow that corner the way that the original did, right? So I'm wondering if it's more about material, color, and maybe making some changes where we keep that concept on the left side. If we, Jason, Mr. Clark, if you don't mind going back, if we keep some iteration of this on the left side, and then Mr. Clark, if you don't mind going back to the original, and then sorry, Mr. Berger, but I'm right above your head. Kind of incorporate a little bit more of this liveliness on the right side of the structure. I do want to echo that I do like the south side of that structure, the two-story concept with the outdoor patio. And then I do like the use of this outdoor area. This is appealing in the sense that it creates a traffic pedestrian friendly environment. It creates a community within the project. But I think to point out again, Councilmember Coops' concerns is that it does not currently have a wow factor. It's too subtle. It's too what's the word I'm looking for here? Mundane. and so it's too plain. It's mundane, plain. And that's where I think that from a development standpoint, or from not from a visual standpoint, right? That is a corner that is connected to, in a way, our museum and our parking structure, which we just spent a good amount of money,
20 mil.
$20 million to renovate.
Right.
And I think there's also something to be said about how the 91 units in the back here, they don't necessarily look like they're a part of this, right? It gives it its own individuality, personality, and it wows that corner. So that would be, for me, paramount, that we find a way to incorporate the great concept of the 2 stories with the outdoor patio and with some more liveliness to it. And I'm not an engineer or an architect, so I can't tell you what exactly that looks like. It could be material, it could be color palette, but that's one thing I want to put out there first. And I think I want to just share that with regards to the minimum square footage, I think what is something that you think is more viable for you? Do you have anything in mind already as to what you would bring to the table, or right now we're just completely dark?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked to. There is a brewery that's interested that would have a component that has live music, and we're not far enough along really to propose that as a solution here, but that's one possible use. There's some other tenants that do live music that have expressed some interest, but generally, at this stage of a project like this, this is a long ways out for a retailer to kind of look at this and commit to it. So we're kind of, out doing our outreach, trying to find a viable tenant, keeping the design flexible so we can accommodate what we get. But yeah, I think ideally it's something that provides the same regional draw that Lemley was going to, and that we work together to try to procure that kind of a tenant, and we have agreements in place that can accommodate that, and also accommodate if we're unable to do it in a way that everybody feels is reasonably fair. So that's the goal here. If it's facade materials and things that just make it look a little different, then those are simple things. The building configuration, I think, at least what I think I'm hearing is that generally that's generally acceptable. So maybe we focus on trying to present some other versions of what it could look like to build some consensus here. But yeah, to answer your question about our view of who's going to take Lemley's place, I think the most important thing is that we accommodate the widest variety of options.
I think on that note, or I would say to my colleagues that if the applicant here can kind of come back with a better rendering that isn't so mundane, that's closer to this, that incorporates that outdoor patio on the second flooring and kind of brings it to live, I'm more open to the conversation, right, of the terms and the agreements. And I believe there's been some good efforts to bring in the idea of the what's it called, the mitigated, or sorry, not the mitigated, but the liquidated damages. Thank you, Councilmember Coops, into the factor. So I'd be open to something like that if the applicant can kind of provide that, And with regards to the sales tax, I'm not so much sold that we need to increase the amount or anything like that per se, if we can do something like this, because I believe that there is some faith to be said that they're a good developer, they're moving quickly, they've done their their homework, and that they would try their best to bring viable tenants to the table. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate your statement there.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right,
Mayor Pro Tem.
thank you, Councilmember Sanchez. Councilmember Hamada?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. First off, Jason, thank you for being here and trying to work with us to get something going. And definitely during this tough market, I know it's been the up and down, roller coaster. But and during these times, I hope the parties, have some flexibility. But I think it's still got to be, something that's going to really, brighten up the scene and really know that it's going to be successful. And with this, yeah, I mean, this brought that flair and really, wouldn't say it's almost like a little touch of Hollywood, but it's definitely you could it's got that wow factor because of the lighting, and I think with the glass and so on, it really brings some excitement. And Jason, you mentioned that you've been talking to theaters, and some want more and some want less. Now, are you saying somewhat less, even below 4,000, or
Less than the original theater size.
Less than
So
the-
we just
just the
picked something that
original.
we thought would be the smallest a theater
Yeah.
might want to go.
yeah?
So, whether that's in or not, I'm agnostic. But if it's confusing or there's some other reason to take
Yeah.
it out, we're open to take it out.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like that there's some angst about that, and so
Sure. I was talking with staff today about theaters, and I had come across one that staff said they did talk to, but maybe you've talked to them from the developer perspective, and there might be some different lines of discussion. And one that popped out of my head was the Alamo Draft House Cinema, which is in downtown LA. And are they the type that size-wise to Lamele, that type of size? Or are they smaller?
I think it's a little bit bigger if I
They're actually
recall
bigger and-
correctly.
Because I know they're nationwide.
Yeah, there are quite a few sort of art house or boutique theater operators. I have not come across one in the last 2+ years that is doing anything. So I think the idea is that we take all comers when they're back out looking to do projects, and that would be a great one, fit in great here. If they were interested, we'd be thrilled to talk to them.
Something unique. Again,
Yeah.
Again, we have a stand-up comedy theater here, and which
Yeah.
has been very successful. And this is now it's definitely bringing more stuff to put Bellflower on the map, and that kind of activity, and which is going to be kept open during night, kind of thing. So again, I do like outdoor dining, and again, it's got to be well designed, orientated, so it also takes in the residential surrounding area, and obviously, again, thank you for again moving forward on the residential. I see that you've papered it and wired it, and so ready to
Right, it's
do some
moving along.
plastering there.
Right.
To see a lot of building from this project gone to outdoor space. Yes, we love outdoor space, but again, this land's too valuable. Right at this corner, it's right there in the thick of action, and we definitely need to have something that's going to utilize the square footage, hopefully to its max possible, without just making it overcrowded or anything. But we definitely want to see the action, and yes, the blend of some of the commercial with definitely with eating and an upper scale eating, and hopefully some kind of theater, because again, I was around when saw that that was the biggie.
Yeah, I
definitely
think
was.
with respect to the theater, we've built several other projects that have theaters in them, and some of them aren't doing well, and some may not make it. And so the last thing I think any of us want is empty space, right? So we're trying to balance, the original concept, with what's economically viable and what benefits all stakeholders. We're long-term holders of the residential project. We desperately want a strong retail anchor. It's an amenity for the residential units. That's another key factor for us. So, I want to come up with something that allows us to proceed in a way that gives you control over where we end up, but keeps the process moving. So that's kind of the goal. But it sounds like we have some work to do on what it looks like. The other thing I would say is maybe do we happen to have the night renderings? I think that's the version of one project to the others. I think maybe a little bit unfair because it's they look different during the day and at night. But setting that aside, I think that there's some other changes that can be made to kind of make this feel a little bit closer to what you originally thought you were going to get. So we'll work on that.
Jason, just quickly back to the theater. You said you've talked to a lot of them, and I bet you have.
Yeah.
And have you contacted Metropolitan, the Metrolux chain? Is that-
Metrolux, no, I don't think so.
That's in Orange County, South Orange County.
Okay.
And again, the scale of things, again, that'll be up to your discussion, and if they have a smaller version, whatever it may be, so I'm just throwing those things out.
Okay.
Just in my travels, again, I think we all do
Yeah,
it. When
yeah.
we travel, we see places, we'd love to have that in Bellflower, kind of thing, or maybe that's an option for staff. We're gonna look to staff to say, hey, go talk to them at least and see what's up.
Yeah,
So,
and the city is the best ambassador for something like this. So, we will reach out to every single connection we have to try to find a viable retail anchor, entertainment anchor. If you guys are at ICSC and you meet somebody, please refer 'em our way. We'd talk to anybody, and we have the same interests here with that respect.
Yeah, just quick summary. It for me is scaled down. I haven't been sold on it yet, and really because this land's too valuable, and it really needs to have some wow and some excitement, and really keep some of that action in Bellflower, and make it a draw. I mean, again, some of our other areas are going to be bringing some stuff that's going to add to that wow. So we want you to complement everything else that's going on here in town. So
Okay.
I'll just go with that. All right, thank you, Jason.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All
Pro
right,
Tem.
thank you, Councilmember Hamada. Councilmember Coops.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Mitch, Hack, and Bob, you're seeing what we're talking about. Do you see our concern? Okay. How about you, Fred, Cheryl? Do you see what you were here when we got that up the first time, but I'm looking for a little community feedback here because we're not an island here. But the other building's a C+, and this is an A+. What if we, I want to try to figure something out as soon as possible. I don't want to continue this meeting. I don't want to go
Right,
back.
but before you, I think I know what you're gonna say. We need to open the public, we need to invite
We
the
need to
public
invite
first.
the public hearing.
Yeah, and then
So I
we'll
would
talk.
like to do that at this point.
Yeah, okay. So you have no more questions?
I have no
of
more
Jason?
questions.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
Jason.
Thanks, everybody.
I think I know where Councilmember Coops is going. So is there anyone here from the public to please share your ideas?
If you like it or you don't like it, or we go a different direction,
This
now's
is
your time.
this is a big project for Bellflower, so we want to hear from you.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm sorry, just for the record, I wanted to point out that we did receive a public comment via
Oh.
email prior to the start of the meeting, and that's been provided to the city council and made available to the public as
Was
well.
it shared with the applicant?
Yes.
It was, okay. All right, very good, thank you. I want to make sure of that. Thank you. All right. Mrs. Berkey.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I don't hate it. I think what you just said about the nighttime, showing a nighttime to nighttime is a big piece, because my understanding is with architectural sketching, it's going to be brighter at night. So I would like to see a nighttime version, and I am curious
We've got
to
one here.
learn.
I think we do.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I
You're a
see-
neighbor, so we want to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I know. I was trying to be really unbiased because I mean, I work right next to this, and I walk and
And we're
I
going to
live
fix
a
up the
couple
front of your
blocks
building.
away.
It's going to look just beautiful.
Yeah. So we would look at it a lot. I would like to see some brighter colors, but I don't hate the other one that they're showing. I like the plaza. I really like the second story. I think that's something that I want to see more on Bellflower Boulevard is open decks and patios up above. I think that's smart, especially if you get creative with shading. But yeah, I'm curious to learn more about the proposed artwork that they're talking about, because I think that could be something that would really sell the design. Obviously, this is really exciting when you have the second story and the glass and everything, but yeah, I don't have really strong opinions against the other one. I would like to see it at night, and I would like to see it with the proposed artwork.
How about more open space?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's
Yeah.
okay, all right.
It's okay. I think, yeah.
I'll stop there.
All right, very good. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Anyone else?
And Cheryl
All right, Cheryl, if you
Williams.
can just sign in, Cheryl, again, so
I'll
that,
sign in, okay.
because the clerk puts that in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay. I have been a longtime resident of Bellflower back in the old days when we had Woolworth. I'm aging myself now, but and Pennies and all those things. I like something that's going to bring me back that looks fun and exciting. The other is beautiful aesthetically. It's beautiful, but it's not going to draw me there. Something with lights and excitement, liveliness, and, you know, looking at a live music versus a movie theater, we need something that's going to bring the families out. Live music is fine, but you're not going to go there. I'm not going to go there that often, but a movie theater probably, or maybe bowling, something, you know, where you can just go and relax and let your hair down and not just sit and listen to music. And I like I say, aesthetically, I like the other one, but we do need something to go to that brings life to that area, the main event center and fire museum and the parking structure have a unique look, as you had mentioned, and I think we need to kind of work to bring that all together and make it a cohesive area and make people want to come there, people from Downey, Norwalk, Lakewood, to just hang out.
Okay.
And something to do.
So you want to be drawn to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, good. Thanks for sharing your ideas. Anyone else?
Fred, you got something to say? You're up.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm seeing no one. Is there a motion to close the
Move
public
to close the
hearing?
public hearing.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Coop, seconded by Councilmember Hamada to close the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. All right, Mr. Coops.
What if we did 8,000 square feet instead of 4,000? And we were talking about none, and now, and I take in consideration what Mr. Stewart said about how if they lease out all the spaces and we got nothing left, we need for them to reserve 8,000 square feet for entertainment. Would that be, let's discuss that.
Yeah, well, I have another idea. My idea is, because I think this is it's a huge project for me, and I think for us. And I just don't want to rush making a decision tonight.
You want to bring it back to
So what I'd like to do is put the subcommittee back to work.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I was just going to
And
recommend that. I think
I think that's the best idea, because again, this is a big project, and I just don't want to make a decision on the fly.
There's two things I'd like to clarify tonight, though, before I think that is the right recommendation, if that's the direction you go.
That's what I'm proposing to
The
make.
two things I would like to wrap up, though, is if there's terms of the development agreement, the draft that we've looked at tonight, aside from the square footage, which I believe is an open question, is there anything else that just really raises the hackles? And there's something else that we need to discuss, so we don't bring this back and do this again when there's a lot of disagreement on the dais. So I'd like to get some feedback on that, on whether or not the deal points are mostly good. And then secondarily, I heard at least one comment from the dais tonight that you're looking at the architecture that's going to, quote, match, and I don't think you meant match exactly, but I presume the word complement.
To complement.
Okay.
Complement.
So I think the architecture, I think we're looking for something direction to the developer, that we're looking for something to complement the two large structures that are just adjacent to this property. But other than that, if there's something about the deal points, I know there was I think there's some consternation about the time of the liquidated damage provision on that. And that's something, no? Okay. I mean, if there's no other deal points that.
Can we just make it simple?
We can make it simple.
Make it equal.
Yeah.
Over 15 years. Why create a table?
Yeah,
something
we'll talk
like
about
that. So,
subcommittee. Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's just complicated. I'm a very simple-minded person. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's nothing out there. I think that's a resolvable circumstance that we can get to consensus on. But if we're good and we have enough direction on the architecture, and we have enough direction on and leave open the open question about the square footage. But I do believe there does need to be at least some minimum floor on the anchor square footage you have in this project.
I think we can drill down on that.
Yeah, I think we're good on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the reasons you mentioned, that
So, gentlemen, what?
So,
Any input?
what do you think? Should we go back to subcommittee?
What would be the time frame that we would bring this back?
It's up to Mr. Tollison. Tomorrow?
Well, let me just
Well,
tell
let's
you,
put it this way, we won't hold you up. As quickly as you want to do it, we can do it.
let me tell you, Jason, that Councilmember Coops are retired. So we've been waiting since February 8th when we met. It's in my calendar. 6 months ago today.
So,
When we met.
last item is, we have our direction to schedule the meeting as quickly as possible, and I think Jason, I know he's itching to get this going too. We'll need to continue the public hearing to the next meeting, at least.
September.
Yeah. it'd
The
be-
only caveat is it would
First
September
meeting in
would be-
September.
First meeting in September
Yeah,
would be
because
the
we're
earliest.
gonna be short a council member, and then we have one conflicted out.
Because I do want to have, be present.
Sure you do.
Thank you.
All right.
So we can work while you're gone.
We'll zoom you in if we have to.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, I mean.
Councilmember Hamada, are you okay with this recommendation?
Yeah, I think it's prudent to again have some dialogue back.
So we could-
again,
I would-
No.
just in hearing, again, haven't talked about any project changes for
Right.
6 months. I think it's warranted to go back and just tighten it up, and then we can move it along.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah,
All right, Mr. Stewart?
I just recommend that we go ahead and adjourn the public hearing to the first meeting in September, so we have, and the developer's okay with
Do
it.
you want to continue this item until, or just,
Mayor Pro Tem, if I can interject, if we
Okay.
could do to a date certain, so we
Yeah.
wouldn't have to renotice and put
Yeah.
a
We can do
new,
the whole item, right?
so we can,
Yeah. What's the date, what's the meeting in September?
I believe it's the 12th.
are you back by then? Okay, good. So the first meeting of September?
When we open it?
Okay, so we need a motion to continue this item to the first meeting of September, which is September
12th.
12th. Okay, is there a motion to
So
continue this
moved.
item?
Move it.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hamada, seconded by Councilmember Coops, to continue this item on
Date certain.
September
Date
12th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamada.
Aye.
Councilmember Coops.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas.
Aye. All right, Jason, you got your work cut out. Thank you so much. All right, can someone get the mayor?
There he is.
Oh, the mayor's here. Let the record reflect that Mayor Danton is rejoining the council meeting. All right, Mayor.
Sounds like you got through that one.
Yeah. And there's no,
Oh, yeah.
and there's no blood on the floor, so, okay, that's good. All right.
Okay, now I got the easy stuff. We have no consideration items, no ordinances, resolutions. Now it's a consent calendar. Any recusals or conflicts? I'm going to note I have a conflict on 14C, 14E, and 14F.
Mr. Mayor, I have conflicts on 14E like Edward, 14F like Frank, 14G like Gopher, and 14L like Larry.
And Mr. Mayor, I have conflict on 14E.
Mr. Mayor, as usual, I don't have any conflict,
Let the record show.
but
Well, and Hamada doesn't have any conflict.
No conflicts either.
Okay,
but
now is there anybody want to pull any
yeah,
items?
there's a but, yeah. I'd like to pull item F as in Frank, L as in Larry, and then M as
Frank,
in Mary.
Larry, and M.
KLM. Sounds like an, no,
Yeah.
F.
FLM. FLM, sounds like an airline.
And Mr. Mayor and members of the council will need to pull 14E in order to draw straws to see who can vote on that
So
particular
I was
item.
gonna say, then, you don't want anything pulled, Ray?
It was M. M also.
Okay, you're on M,
Yeah.
okay, so, okay, that's. Okay, 14E, there are 3 councilmen that are conflicted out, and we need 3 to make a vote. So, we're gonna draw straws to see who gets to vote. Is that right, Ms. Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are prepared to do that, so we can.
Want me
go
to
ahead.
vote on the remainder of the calendar first, or you wanna get who's gonna be drawing, who's gonna win the straw pool?
So, no, we're gonna pull the item E anyway. We're gonna pull it to draw.
Let's just draw straws right now. Let me get that out of the way. That's what I got
Okay.
in my mind.
Okay, we can do that. So I have each of the conflicted council members' names here, and I will show them for the record. So Mayor Dutton.
Let me see. Okay.
It's an important vote.
Well, trust but verify, just like Reagan would
Trust
say,
but
right?
verify,
Trust
yeah.
but
Trust
verify.
And we'll put it into the clear bowl here.
Just because she was late?
And
Oh, no, no.
we
You know,
have
that's not straws,
Councilmember
that's-
Coops next.
That's more like a lottery.
Okay.
Can we do that, Mr. Attorney?
And we will fold it and put it into the bowl. And last but not least, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay, it's Phil Sanchez, okay. And who's gonna pull?
Travis, would you like to
Does
pull?
he have to be blindfolded?
No. Give it a good shake.
We should have the
Uh-oh.
should have the captain do it.
Okay. And Councilmember Sanchez will be participating.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
You were out, now you're in.
You're in.
Buy a lottery ticket.
You're back, you're back.
You're back.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So, let's hear about Sonny's FLNM.
Phil and M. Sounds like family
So-
leave.
Who wants, is it gonna be just one person, or whose departments are those?
Well, it's basically just a comment. On letter F, it is a comment, although Mr. Gurek is there. And this is a project to improve Bellflower Boulevard from Artesia all the way to the south of the city limit. And I just want to let our residents know that this is part of this redevelopment, that we have not forgotten the south of the city. It's the development is going there. As you recall, we just opened the Bellflower Center, and there's going to be more development going on there.
I'm sorry to
Uh,
interrupt,
the-
Mr. Mayor
oh.
Pro Tem. I
Oh.
believe there was a conflict on 14F.
Oh, sorry.
Councilmember
Oh,
Coops.
and me.
So we better get out of the room?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
For 14F.
Ouch.
Oh, it is.
I was just gonna do what the mayor does.
Are you conflicted on F?
Oh, also Mayor Dutton, that's correct.
Oh, sorry, it will not take long.
That's what they all say.
No, I promise you, it's gonna be short. Thank you, City Clerk, for catching that. Anyway, should I repeat? Anyway, 14F on this consent agenda is for the development of the streets project on Bellflower Boulevard from the freeway all the way to the south of the border, which is past Rose. So I just want to make our residents know, be aware of this project, because to me, it's very important that people know that we haven't forgotten the south of the city. So this complements the developments been going on there, starting with In-N-Out, and then the Dunkin' Donuts, and then Exchange, and that's going to be more development. And then, as I said earlier, the Bellflower Center was just opened a few months ago. So this is a continuation of that development of south of the city. That's all I wanted to say. So I have no question for you, Mr. Gorecki. All right. That was quick. Can we get them back? I promise it's gonna be short. I told you it's gonna be short.
Are they conflicted on G?
No. You have a question on G? I promise you.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny.
All right.
Better stand up, we might have to do another one.
Yeah.
Is this L, Myra? Is the
All
next
right.
one
On L, there's no conflict on L.
No.
L is
Dan's conflicted on L.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dan,
Yes,
oh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Dan.
Told you, stand up.
See, that's the price to pay. That if you're rich.
Wow.
All right, letter L is I'm very excited about this project. This is the butterfly garden on Alondra on the east end of the city. And I just want to share with you, looking at the bids that we received from this, I think the bids, Mr. Gorecki, is very reasonable, the one that we selected and we're about to approve if we go along with this consent calendar. And I look at the calculation, the first, except for the last two, which are just over the top, which is more than double of the winning bid. So I think it's about 4 or 5 that are within the range, within 23% of one another. So those are very reasonable. But the reason why I'm sharing this information to you is I was walking along the walking trail, the dog park, and I met one of our residents in the city, and I shared with her the information about the butterfly garden. And she was so excited. She is an expert on butterflies. Oh. So I learned more about monarch butterflies, how to attract them and things like that. So she's very excited for this project to come along. So Mr. Gorecki, my question to you is, based on your, if you have the magic wand, okay, what's your best guesstimate on when will this project be completed if we approve this tonight?
Approved tonight, once we get a chance to work through the construction documents, which typically takes 6 to 8 weeks, that puts us kind of in October. We'll start working out a schedule and procurement plan with the contractor once they have all their contracts in, and then from there it's a 6-month build. So I think we're really looking at late spring, early summertime next year, as long as everything goes according to plan with the builder and stuff. So.
That's good information. So I'm gonna get back to her because I promised her that I will give her the information.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You want to do M now?
Yeah, M. All right.
Get down first. Or somebody. Come on. Oh, wait. I don't have you down for 14G.
Want to go out again?
Are you going to be 14G?
Is he Vicky's on G?
I don't have.
Oh my gosh.
I had you down for 14E.
No, I meant G.
Okay. Okay.
So you want to kick out Dan again?
Well, we can do L.
Let me do M. So we can have Dan.
Let him have a break.
He needs to rest those knees.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you for joining us. 14M is about the water conservation measures. And my question to you, Mr. Gorecki, is once we approve this tonight, how do we inform our residents about these new water conservation measures?
Well, as you know, the municipal system, the city's water system, is fairly small. It only represents about 1,200 customers here, or households here in the city. The remaining customers are broken up between 3 different other privates. So the notifications that the other ones have already done, they've been informing their customers. Once this ordinance is passed tonight, all we do is reiterate to the water companies to pass this information out to their customers as well. And then on our end of things, what we'll do is hit our social media very heavy. We'll utilize our newspaper, the social media, to put out the conservation measures to the general public citywide.
Okay. And the city's website also?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
on. Yeah, there's already a tab on the city's website.
Okay.
We'll update it with the latest, greatest.
And Mr. Taylor is here. I'm sure that he will share the information with all members of this group. Okay.
It's pretty basic stuff. It's everything that everybody has to do right now.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And let me just, yeah, I'm sorry, Len, again, thank you for your comments. Because recently I had some discussion with Liberty about it, because there's been talk that, again, they got to figure out, how much water will be conserved based on a certain period. So I believe they're setting the 2020 year or period as the base, and because there's talk of charging surcharges, some penalties, and my understanding with Liberty is that they will not charge surcharges, but again, it could change. So I know that's been brought up with some of the water purveyors. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussion. One of the things you have to look at is your overall annual reduction in water. So currently, under the Stage 2 reduction order, that's before all the water systems here in the state, it's a 10 to 20% reduction. So you're taking a look at your usage the last couple of years, going back to 2020, and just comparing to where you are with the new water restrictions to see how it ends up for you. So if your customers are following the rules and reducing their water usage, then you should see the overall reduction. And how that's panned out in the past, it's kind of hit and miss a little bit. I mean, the municipal system already is a fairly low usage. We average probably 60 acre-feet a month. That's not a lot. So getting that to reduce off a little bit is doable, but does it end up being 10 or 20%? It remains to be seen. We'll see after we get done with the period.
okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to hear about 14G?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
You're conflicted out again. You got to take another walk.
It better be good.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick.
Hey, Mr. Attorney, I got a question. We always do this, and we have to go behind the door. You can hear everything right there. What's the difference of hearing it up here or hearing it behind the door?
I'm happy to give you the number of the state legislature. 1-800, we don't care.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick question for Mr. Gorky.
It just don't make sense. Anyway.
Just a quick question on 14G. One, it's exciting to see it on the calendar here. Mr. Gorky, could you just kind of talk to us, or for the purposes of the audience and the people watching us could you talk to us about the project and the goals of this project here?
Yes, certainly, Honorable Mayor and Council members. What we have here is really two separate projects. They kind of came from two different locations. So first is the Lakewood-Alondra intersection. That was originally a hotspot project, which was something that the Gateway Cities, the Gateways COG, put together with Caltrans, because Caltrans at the time still owned Lakewood Boulevard. And then once we went through the relinquishment process and Lakewood Boulevard became ours, it transferred over to us. So we held off on that because we knew we were going to do the other project that we got a separate grant for through LA County Metro, which was traffic modifications to 4 different locations on Bellflower Boulevard. So we've combined them all together. So what you have, let's just start at the northernmost part of Lakewood. So Lakewood and Somerset, one of the projects will be to modify the existing traffic signals at that location to provide protected left turn pockets for east and westbound cars traveling on Somerset. Right now, there's not a protected left turn arrow, so you kind of gamble. Is the person coming at you at the speed limit, or are they coming down Somerset doing 100 miles an hour, which, then you have to decide to make your left turn.
Thank you, Lon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Then at Lakewood and Alondra, this is the project that Caltrans originally put together. Again, this has everything to do with modifying the traffic signals, but it's only to extend the arms and make them longer. The other component of that project is that they're going to be building dedicated right-hand turn pockets in all 4 directions. So no matter what direction you're traveling on Lakewood or Alondra, when you get to that intersection, you're now going to have a dedicated right lane to make your right turn. And in addition to that, the Alondra left turn pockets for east and westbound traffic will also be lengthened so they can hold more cars and reduce the amount of backup that, you know, that car that's halfway in the left turn angle causes. So then where there's no signal right now would be at Lakewood and Main, just south of the McDonald's down there. We'll be installing a brand new traffic signal right there. And then you have Lakewood and Flower, very similar to Somerset Boulevard. There's no protected left turn lanes for east-westbound Flower traffic. We'll be installing and modifying the signals to create those left-bound protected left turns at that location. And then the final location south of Artesia, right by the shelter, which is at Cedar, that will be a brand new signal going in there at that location where there's currently no signal at right now. So in summary, we've wrapped up 2 big projects because it's best to do this with one contractor instead of bidding it out and tearing up Lakewood Boulevard over a couple-year time period. So we're just going to do it as one big project and hopefully have it wrapped up here in the next 10 to 12 months. So.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you going into great details on that. I think that's going to be definitely a great improvement to that whole corridor, the whole Lakewood corridor. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your explanation. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Get Coops, please, again. That's done. Okay. I got everybody. Did I forget anybody else? Okay, okay. Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar from
Move the
somebody.
consent calendar.
Second.
What's left of it?
Got a motion on the floor by Coops and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Santa Ynez. Let the record reflect that I'm recused at a 14C, 14E, and 14F. Coops is recused at a 14E, 14F, 14G, and 14L. And that's it. 'Cause Sonny's,
I'm sorry, Mayor, 14E will have to be considered separately.
oh, okay. So would you like to amend your motion less
Less
E?
E.
Yes.
And
okay.
second?
Second.
Less E. Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. And 14E, somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve 14E.
Second.
Can I call the roll on it?
2 individuals need to.
Leave?
We got to get out of here.
Trying to ramrod it through.
No.
Okay.
Let Victor vote.
All right.
I'm trying to keep you out of trouble.
Can you explain to me again why I gotta go there?
If you want the long explanation, rather my glib explanation, I can give it.
Okay. All right, that being the case,
Did we need to change our motion? Did one of them motion?
no, I motioned.
You did, okay.
And
I
you
seconded.
seconded.
Yeah, okay, good,
Uh,
good.
Motion by myself, seconded by Councilmember Hamada. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamada?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez?
14E.
Aye. Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santana?
Aye. Motion carried.
Government at its finest.
Mr. Mayor, if you'd like the less glib explanation, I can give you that, but I don't think you really want to hear it.
No. Okay. Council member reports. Mr. Hamadi, you want to go first?
Just quickly here, during my announcements, I mentioned about the morning mingle for this month. I went to last month. Again, sometimes it's standing room only, so it's very popular. And like I said, there's always space to get one more person in there. So it went well. And again, I want to extend appreciations to Jim Delalonga and Joel Hockman for being there to provide updates, to spare me from guessing. So, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Coops.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Councilmember Sanchez.
No report. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Santi Santa Ines.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request the council meeting for tonight to be adjourned in memory of Lloyd Eichard. Lloyd Eichard was born in Torrance, California on October 27, 1937, and passed away on July 12, 2022. Lloyd was born with severe asthma, so his parents moved the family to Prescott, Arizona, where they lived until his condition improved when he was 6 years old. The family later moved to Modesto, California, where Lloyd graduated from Modesto High School. Lloyd attended UCLA and was recruited by the FBI as an undercover agent in the Communist Youth Organization. While at UCLA, he met his wife, Darlene, and they married in 1960. In 1961, they had twin daughters, Teresa and Sherry, and in 1963, their third daughter, Sandra, arrived. In 1963, Lloyd acquired his real estate license and decided that City of Paramount was a good place to begin his practice. He became known in the Paramount community with his iconic Eichard real estate logo and signs. Lloyd was elected to the Paramount City Council in 1966 and later became mayor. He worked with the community to build parks, plant hundreds of trees, created the annual Mobile Santa Community Outreach, added a local hospital, and assisted with street and structural improvements. Lloyd was active with the Lions Club International, Paramount Kiwanis Club, Paramount Jaycees, and many automobile clubs and the Newport Beach community. Lloyd's leave behind a loving family, including his daughters, Terry and Sherry and Sandy, lifelong partner Linda Vandervelde, sister Betty Johnson, 4 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. Our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Eichard family. And I just got word that the celebration of life for Lloyd will be held on Monday, August 29. So with that, Mayor, I'd like to request tonight's meeting to be adjourned in his memory.
Thank you. As you can see tonight, my colleagues at work, when I was recused myself about that project on Bellflower Boulevard, we all take our jobs up here very serious and want to build a better Bellflower. It wasn't all that long ago, a decade ago, that when developers came to Bellflower, all they'd want to put in is storage units or truck yards, payday loan places. There was tons of vacant stores out there. There was just no good development. There was even developers that would come and say, well, why don't you do this? It's only Bellflower. Well, over the last decade, we've all took that is not the thing to do, and that's why we worked so hard is putting this town together. On this dais, we're here to do the best we can for the city. We actually been turning this thing around, and it is starting to take hold. Now the developers want to come to town. We would send our economic development department to all these conferences at a state. And there was a time where Bellflower, where's that? Now it's, oh, we heard about you guys. You're the bomb now. There's activity, the developers know where we're at. All I can say is there's a lot of things coming, and there'll be more coming. We are on the radar. We have this place back. And with that, I want to adjourn this meeting tonight in the memory of Lloyd Eichard to the regular meeting of Bellflower City Council, 5:30 p.m. Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Thanks.